Hey, I'm Warren Sprouse. You're on the Bible Forum. We're here every Sunday night from 8 to 10 p.m., and we look at life through a biblical lens, solving all the world's problems in 2 hours or less. We've got a lot of stuff been going on this week. I want you to think about some of these things. The first one that comes to mind is the Trump effect. Have you noticed? There has been no lack of news regarding Donald Trump and his search for just the right cabinet. Now, the left is hoping, beyond hope, that it will be racist and homophobic and a dismal failure. But so far, that isn't happening, is it? And I'm sure they're very unhappy. We also heard this week that the president of Ford Motors called the Donald to say that Ford will not be moving their Lincoln SUV operation to Mexico. There's a little bit more to that story. We'll get into it a little bit later. The stock market seems to like what the Donald is doing. Have you noticed that the stock market is trending up and other things economic are starting to look a little rosier? Wall Street uh, is worried that the Donald's going to be another trust buster. You remember the old trust busters? Well, Wall Street's concerned about that. Now, we don't know if they're really all that concerned, but that's what the news is saying. And we're starting to see that news isn't as trustworthy as we thought. So maybe that's just nonsense. We don't know yet. Our outgoing president, Obama, is on a victory tour. He has gone off to nations that are favorable to him. I can't imagine what this is costing us. They have to send all kinds of security vehicles ahead of time to each one of these locations. Huge C-17s running all over the world, all kinds of people, security ahead of time and during the time, and then Air Force One, and it just goes on and on. The hotels, the food, millions and millions of dollars for what? So he can go around and have press conferences and tell people them his opinion as to what happened. Everywhere he's been, he's had a press conference. He and Chancellor Merkel over there in Germany have agreed that, quote, we need to manage technology, end of quote. That's code. The idea here is that people know too much. It's making it harder to govern. It's making it harder because they cannot keep as many secrets as they used to keep. Note here in the United States, we relinquish control over the internet to a global committee. We have no idea what that means, but we are going to talk about it. President Obama set a new record last month in terms of regulations. He put out over 527 pages of new regulations in one day. That was Thursday, November 10. 81,640 pages in total for his 7+ almost 8 years in office. And he's still got a week left, 7 weeks left. Obama gave Congress warning, stating that in 2014, when Congress didn't do what he wanted, he said, I got a pen and I got a phone. And apparently he was serious. Estimates from earlier than 2016 about this pen and phone has cost the economy roughly $80 billion. That's over the next 10 years. And it has eliminated 150,000 jobs. The Competitive Enterprise Institute, which tracks such activity, notes that Obama has generated 635,448 pages of rules, 217 per day, or 9 for every hour he's been in office so far. These pages are about 2 inches tall one ream, that is, 500 pages, is about 2 inches tall, would put together, it would create a tower more than 211 feet tall, a building that would be over 20 stories high. That's just the paper. Assuming anybody could read all of these things, assuming you could read a page in 30 seconds, it would take you 5,300 years just to wade through them and read them. Previous presidents were guilty of this sort of thing. George W. had 79,000 pages. Bill Clinton had 74. Jimmy Carter, 73. George Bush, the first, had 56. Ronald Reagan had 58,000. Our president now is at 69, almost 70,000, and he ain't over yet. That was in 2016. We haven't seen what he's got in January. The publication called The Hill reported Obama was frantically issuing rules earlier in the year because the rules issued in this last lame duck time period, this last couple of months, are subject to congressional review, which gives Congress a period of time to act on them and to cancel them. So if he did it earlier, it was better, and he did. What appeared to be a strong and expanding liberal philosophy has recently been exposed for what it is, a hopeful sham. Not by the right, not by critics of the movement, but by the evangelical left. The leaders within the evangelical left are saying that we only have our seminaries and our seminars to make us feel as though we're accomplishing something. But when and where it counts, we have no followers. We have no converts. They said it's all smoke and mirrors. But isn't that what the leftist politicians are saying too? Everyone's a liberal until a conservative president is elected, and then the economy kicks up, morality is suddenly more important, and people start talking about things that are real instead of the things that have been false or fake or silly or pie in the sky kinds of things. Have you read about or seen anything about the snowflake children? What is their problem? These are the people, the young people, grammar school, high school, college-age young people who can't think, can't study, can't take tests because Hillary lost the election. And they're marching and they're crying in the streets, and the teachers and the professors are excusing them from tests because, well, they're distraught. What is the problem these kids are having? They have been living in a leftist cocoon, devoid of objective information and reality. And now that a reality has struck, they fall apart. The Pope has come out this week. He wants the church, that's what Roman Catholics call their church, the church, to be more inclusive and less exclusive, less condemning. Less condemning of what? Of Protestants? No. Of sin. He also admits the various global faiths may be seeking God, but just in different ways. I always have the same question. If you've watched the show for any length of time, you know what the question is. How many religious faiths are there in the world? Well, I'll give you a hint. There's not near as many as the Pope thinks. The absolute objective reality is there is only one. It is a biblical Christianity. That's the only faith system in the world. Everybody else is relying on works. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later on. More millennials is a purely Western term, believe in Marx, Karl Marx, and his philosophy than in any other social or political philosophy. And you wonder, how can that be in America? Well, it can be because our so-called public education system is preaching it. They have been preaching it. They don't teach it, they preach it. There's very little actual teaching going on in our schools. That's why the private school movement and the homeschool movement is expanding so rapidly. And that's why the left continues to militate against both of them. In addition to teaching Marxism in our school system, it's denigrating what we call capitalism as a philosophy that is fundamentally unfair and punitive. It doesn't take into account all these poor people who can't get work and can't function, don't have a place to live, and don't have food. Can you see what's happening? It's East over West, free trade and personal responsibility over government control and collectivism. Science is moving closer to what they say, creating a more perfect human being, one that will live longer and be healthier. A Chinese scientist on October 28th of this year became the first in the world to inject an adult human with cells that contain genes which have been edited using cutting-edge technology. Man over nature. Translation? Man over God. How did we get here? Well, mainstream Christianity is thoroughly hooked on a more supernatural form of Christianity, largely through books and TV programs. The newest offering, November 22nd, was a book entitled Growing Up with God, Everyday Adventures of Hearing God's Voice. I got a news flash for the authors and for the people who read or like this stuff. God has not spoken in this general and directive way since the days of the apostles. Why? Because through them, the apostles, God made his definitive and final declaration. It's called the New Testament. Not my word, his word. He said that. At the end of the book of the Revelation, he talks about if you add anything to what is already established. Don't pay any attention to it. It didn't come from me. So why do all these people hear God speaking to them? And why are so many people seeking such a thing? We're going to talk about all this and more as the show unfolds. I want you to stay tuned. We got more to come.